Welcome back to Vox in a Box, the podcast that puts a voice in comics. I'm your host, Michael Corley. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are covering classic X-Men number 74. In this 74th episode of Vox in a Box, titled Dancing in the Dark, we open with Cyclops, Scott Summers, dancing with a young woman. Is it Jean Grey? It looks just like Jean Grey with a different haircut. But no, this woman is Madeline Pryor. He met her 2 issues ago. She is a pilot who lives in Alaska and looks and sounds exactly like Jean Grey. They have gone on a date. They are dancing, and things are starting to get serious. He pulls away from her, and as she stands silhouetted by a large fire. Get ready for lots of Phoenix references to Madeline Pryor. Scott is away from her because he realizes he can't take this any further without being honest with her. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a picture of Jean Grey and gives it to her. Now, this is shocking to her and hurtful, too, because now she doesn't know, is this man, Scott Summers, interested in me because of me or because I just resemble this woman who he loved who died? And she asks him point blank, which is it? And he says, honestly, I don't know, but I would like to find out. I just had to be honest with you. Let's go forward and see what happens. And we cut to New York, below New York, down in the deepest sewers of New York. Hundreds of outcast mutants are witness to a wedding. Callisto, leader of the Morlocks, she has heightened senses. She has faster and stronger mutant powers, that kind of generic sort of Captain America type powers. And she has kidnapped Warren Worthington, that is Angel, to marry him. The X-Men went down to try and stop her, but all of the X-Men got captured. That is Storm, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. Remember, Wolverine has left on his own journey, so he is not here. And Sprite, that is Kitty Pryde, has been infected by a plague from one of the mutants, and in another place she is slowly dying. Storm calls out, no, you have got to leave him alone, Callisto. He is a human being. He is not some toy to be played with. Sunder, the super strong Morlock, grabs her by the hair and throws her to the ground. The X-Men has had enough. They have been shamming, pretending to be unconscious or helpless. Colossus transforms into his armored form, breaks out of his bonds, and punches Sunder for touching Storm. Storm generates lightning to make everyone back off, and using her skills as a thief slips out of her bonds. Nightcrawler teleports forward and grabs Callisto, and what does he do? He teleports her again and again and again, leaving her unconscious. The effects, the after effects of being teleported even once with Nightcrawler is supposed to be unpleasant, and this multiple trip leaves her unconscious. A wonderful art piece, by the way. I have to mention this. The panel showing him teleporting actually spell out BAMF. BAMF! As he does this, he holds her aloft and tells everyone to back off and let the X-Men with Angel leave in peace. Everyone does stop. They say, no, please don't hurt her. But even as Storm is reinforcing what he said, do as they bid, let Angel go, an old woman's hand touches Storm. It is Plague. Instantly, Storm is overcome with a terrible illness, and Plague is telling Nightcrawler if she touches Storm again, Storm will simply die. He must let Callisto go. Nightcrawler has no choice. He admits the X-Men do not kill. Colossus also yields, and one of the Morlocks holds out a super strong polymer rope that is supposedly so strong that even Sunder can't break out of it. Nightcrawler can teleport, but Callisto is saying that his loyalty to his friends will keep him here. And when she's finished with him, he won't be going anywhere. Nightcrawler is saying, who are you? Why are you doing this? You're mutants like us. And Callisto is saying, yes, we're mutants, but we're nothing like you. You don't understand. We are outcasts. All of us are too strange or too different to fit into society, so we come here. And he asks, well, how do you find them? She says, we have a mutant who can sense other mutants. His name is Caliban. Cut to Caliban. He is caring for Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde is terribly ill. She, too, was infected with one of Plague's illnesses. Kitty is trying to get him to help the X-Men. And he's saying, no, you have to stay here. You have to get better. And she's saying, look, if you help me help the X-Men, I will stay here. I will come back and stay here forever. But if you let them die, I will hate you forever. Is that what you want? While he's trying to decide where his loyalties lie, to Kitty Pryde, the woman that he loves, or to his surrogate family of the Morlocks, she collapses. And he's afraid that she has died. We cut to Mystique. Do you remember Mystique? She is the shape-shifting, blue-skinned Brotherhood of Evil Mutants member. And she's running. Where is she running? She's in some sort of forest, like in England. Her clothes are torn. She's scared. She's scratched. She trips and breaks her ankle and falls into the river. Hounds fall upon her and begin tearing at her. And Jason Wyngarde, that is Mastermind, pulls them off and holds a dagger to Jean Grey. Jean Grey? That's impossible. She's dead. But Jean Grey pulls the knife to Mystique's throat and slashes Mystique's throat. And Mystique wakes up from this dream with a no! As people so often do in comic books, they must wake up with a no! Mystique is sweating. She's panting. She realizes it's a dream, but her ankle hurts in real life. It's not broken, but it's sore in the exact same spot as it was in the dream. She comes downstairs to see that her friend, Destiny, has made coffee. Destiny is an older woman who is blind, but she is what is known as a precog. Precognition, she can see the future, and that's how she knew to come downstairs and make coffee, because she knew that Mystique would be coming down soon. Suddenly, she senses that Rogue, their adopted daughter, is in danger. Mystique and Destiny hurry upstairs, but it's too late. Rogue is gone. Back to the X-Men. We see that all of the X-Men have been tied up to pillars. Colossus with huge bonds, and Mask, a deformed creature who has the power to reshape skin to any form that he desires except his own. His own face is hideously deformed, and he hates pretty people. He touches Storm's face, and her face begins to distort like it was made of putty. Nightcrawler is saying, "Stop it! We're human beings. We deserve to be treated with respect." And he says, I hate what's pretty, and you are pretty. He holds out his hand to Nightcrawler's face, but Callisto stops him. She's looking, perhaps really for the first time, at Nightcrawler and saying, you're an outcast too. You're different. You don't fit in. Join us. You would be welcome here if you serve me. Of course, Nightcrawler is not going to serve Callisto, this woman who kidnaps other mutants and hurts his friends. But suddenly arrives Caliban. Caliban, the white-skinned, bug-eyed mutant with the ability to sense other mutants, has brought Kitty Pryde, and he's asking them to help her, to save her. The X-Men immediately fly into action. Nightcrawler teleports to her. Colossus breaks out of the supposedly unbreakable bonds. He is furious with a Katya! Remember that Colossus has some pretty strong feelings for Kitty Pryde, and he is ready to destroy anyone who would dare harm her. Nightcrawler realizes that she is quite ill and that she needs advanced medical care or she will die. Callisto is not allowing anyone to leave. She says if the brat dies, she dies. And Caliban is whispering into Nightcrawler's ear and saying that the only way to stop her is to take over as leader. If you challenge her to trial by combat and defeat her, then you can give the orders. And so Nightcrawler formally challenges Callisto to a duel. Callisto says, by the way, did Caliban mention that these duels are to the death? But Storm interrupts. Now remember, Storm has been infected by one of Plague's illnesses. She herself is sick, though not as bad off as Kitty Pryde. And she says, I am the leader of the X-Men. I accept this challenge. Callisto and Storm face off. Storm takes off her cape and holds it in one hand. Callisto says, no powers. If I see a gust of wind or a stray lightning bolt, I will cut Kitty's throat. Storm says that she understands, and Callisto throws a knife to Storm, holding one in her own hand. The knife twirls through the air, and just before it falls past Storm, without looking at it, she reaches forward and snatches it from the air. We see Callisto, a look of maybe slight apprehension on her face. Nightcrawler is whispering to Colossus that this is just bravado when Callisto realizes that Storm will not kill. This fight is as good as over. Callisto advances on Storm. Her natural abilities make her super fast, super strong. Her senses make her hard to sneak up on. Callisto draws first blood, cutting Storm on the face. Storm makes a clumsy response, and she slashes Storm again on the arm. And Callisto is mocking her, saying, "You're making this too easy." And Storm says, "And Callisto, you talk too much." And using her cape, she wraps it around Callisto's arm that held the knife, brings it up, and stabs Callisto through the heart. Storm walks away, even as Callisto collapses. Storm walks up, cuts Angel free, and says that I now lead the Morlocks. Any who challenge me risk Callisto's fate. And she says that all of you, any of you that wish to come, are welcome to come with me back to Xavier's mansion. We welcome all mutants into our fold. But Caliban says that, no, this is our home. We will stay here. And Storm asks Nightcrawler, is Callisto alive? And he says, well, barely. There is a healer among the Morlocks. And he can't fix plagues, but he can knit bones and cuts and things like that. And he says, you stabbed her through the heart. If the healer had not treated her immediately, she would have died. Nightcrawler says, were you aware of what you have done? Storm says that she knew what she had to do when she took the challenge. And Nightcrawler says, I never expected that of you. And Storm says, neither did Callisto. That was her mistake. Now remember, this is the woman who would not kill, who would not even want to kill a brood that was growing inside of her own body. Now she is changed to the point where she was willing to murder to save her friends. We cut back to Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor. They have been kissing on the couch all night long. The sun is coming up. It flashes in Madeline's face, and she goes, oh, that is bright. Hey, maybe I can borrow those cool red sunglasses of yours. And she starts to remove Cyclops' glasses. And, of course, he knocks her hand away, saying, no! And she's, scared. She's upset at his sudden response. And he's thinking to himself, I barely know this woman. Do I dare tell her the truth? He pulls out a quarter, flips it up into the air, ding! Pulls back his glasses, and zap! The quarter lands back into his palm with a perfect hole in the center. And he says, I'm a mutant. I can fire beams of force. At full strength, I can demolish a tank or punch holes through mountains. And she's like, I'm impressed. And he says, not really. It's terrible. I can't control it. Only these glasses made of special ruby quartz keep them in check. And she's understanding how hard it must be for him to live his life in fear that a single mistake could end up in someone's death. And she's saying that she understands because she knows that mutants aren't very popular in the general public. And she appreciates him being honest and telling the secret. And she asks him to stay. And Scott says, "My pleasure." And that ends Classic X-Men number 74. I hope you did enjoy that super cool knife fight with Callisto and Storm. You have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.